Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon, affectionately dubbed Indie Skyrim, is out of early access and the official version 1.0 release is finally here. Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon is an absolute monster of an open-world RPG, boasting a playtime of 50 to 70 hours, though it took me closer to 100 because I'm a very thorough player and I like to 100% everything that I play. It's a truly ambitious nod to proper traditional open-world RPGs, and clearly takes the best parts of the Elder Scrolls franchise as inspiration, but then pumps it absolutely full of incredibly cool Arthurian legend, badass weapons, spells, and armor sets, dozens of terrifying mythological monsters and brutal boss battles, and some of the most detailed RPG systems I have seen in recent years. But I digress. If you want to hear my full review, make sure you go and check out my review video. Today I'm here to share with you a bunch of beginner tips, because this game does not want to hold your hand. There are no glowing items on the ground letting you know what's lootable and what isn't. Enemies don't kindly tell you what level they are and whether you should be fighting them or not. And most quests will require you to listen to NPCs, read notes, and figure out for yourself that you really shouldn't have sold that onion you found 5 hours ago, because now you are going to need it as part of a very important ritual. So, here's the first of my many Fall of Avalon guides as we dive into the top 10 beginner tips you really need to know before you start playing. I'll try and keep this video in chronological order of how useful these tips will be early on. And first up, make sure you are exploring literally everywhere. There are so many missable things in this game, and just like Elden Ring, a lot of these many missable things are key to the game's story. As I say, this game doesn't want to hold your hand, so you can absolutely miss whole bosses and quests by simply not walking down the correct corridor, because the game won't tell you to do that. You need to do that yourself. Just one example of that is the Wailing Effigy boss just here. This corridor, this room are completely optional and in the exact opposite direction of where you need to go, so make sure you are exploring everything or you're going to be missing out on huge chunks of the game. It even comes with its own cutscene, despite the fact that it's entirely optional and entirely missable. And in this first prison area, this is where you will first spawn in before you actually get to the main continent. There is even a missable quest called Unforgettable. So make sure you are exploring every single prison cell, picking up every single note and looting everything, because one of them will trigger this quest that you otherwise will not have access to. I love that the game really isn't afraid to let you miss things if you don't explore well enough. They trust their players to want to go and find all these things, and I really respect that design choice. Next up, let's skip ahead just slightly. Now you have landed in Avalon, and the very first thing you want to do is beeline it towards the Horns of the South. There are many things you can do on the way, and if you look at your compass, you'll see loads of question marks that you probably want to go and explore. Trust me, don't do this yet, you're just going to be wasting your own time. You want to head straight to the main quest, because here there is over a dozen, probably even 20 plus NPCs to speak to. Half of them are going to have quests for you, and there's loads of stuff to do here in what will be your main hub for the first area of the game. So go and speak to everyone, exhaust all the dialogue, do everything you can in the Horns of the South first, then you can backtrack back to where you just were and start exploring everything. Because otherwise, not only are you going to be wasting your own time, you'll be coming across areas and you'll feel like you've thoroughly explored them. Then you will inevitably get a quest from the Horns of the South that sends you back here again. And you get given so many quests that you might forget about this one. And you'll look on your map and you'll see, oh, okay, I've already explored that area. I definitely don't need to go there again. But you explored that area before you found out what you needed to do there from the quest giver. So leave everything unexplored for now. Go and do everything at the Horns of the South. Trust me, it's going to make the game a lot more simple and followable and easy for yourself in the early game. Next up, my friends, sprinting is absolutely not the fastest nor the most efficient way to travel. In fact, you want to be sliding everywhere. So what I did as a keyboard and mouse player is I rebound a few of my keyboard keys to make this a bit easier to pull off. But you basically want to be permanently sprinting and just spamming the crouch button to slide everywhere. And yes, as you can see, this makes you move significantly faster, but that's not the reason we're doing this. You want to take your time with this game. You don't want to just sprint to every single destination. We aren't doing this just to get around faster. In fact, by sliding everywhere, you are constantly going in and out of stealth, and also sliding is classed as an evasive action. So by sliding and sprinting everywhere, you will be leveling up your evasion, your stealth, and your agility skills at all times. This in turn will be leveling your main character level quicker and quicker, because the higher you get these secondary stats, the more experience bonuses you get from them. So for instance, getting your evasion from level 10 to level 11 might only give you 10 extra XP, but getting it from level 39 to level 40 might give you 200. So sliding and jumping everywhere is going to be a really efficient way to level these three skills, making your character level skyrocket and making the rest of this particularly challenging game significantly easier for you. One bonus tip here though, be very careful sliding around settlements and anywhere with friendly NPCs, because as it would in real life, if you decide to slide tackle directly into someone, that's going to hurt. And it genuinely does. You will deal damage to them, you will make them hostile, and depending on who it is, you will immediately put a bounty on your head. All guards will turn hostile, and you are either going to have to pay a hefty fine and have all of your stolen goods taken off of you, or just reload a save. So trust me, sliding in settlements maybe not worth it. In settlements, just jump around to increase your agility and save the sliding for the open world. Tip number 4 is to always keep a set of tools on you. You can buy these from the very first shopkeeper you encounter just to your right hand side when you enter the Horns of the South, and these are a shovel, a pickaxe, a lumber axe, and a fishing rod. Now you can find loads and loads of these throughout the open world, so you don't technically need to buy them, but they are dirt cheap. Trust me, if you follow my tips videos, you'll have tens of thousands of gold just like 10 or 20 hours into the game. So spending 100 gold now buying yourself a set of tools is going to be much more valuable than trying to find them and potentially missing a load of secrets. So the reason you want a shovel is because this will allow you to dig up hidden treasure, and this contains some of the best loot in the game. The pickaxe is going to allow you to do things like mining copper and iron and even weird stone, and these materials are absolutely required for blacksmithing, so you want to be seeking out and using your pickaxe and mining ore very frequently. And the lumber axe is for interacting with these wood chopping spots. These wood chopping spots will replenish automatically over time, but not any old axe will do. You specifically need a wood cutting axe to do so. And you're going to need a lot of wood for certain quests in the game and also for your blacksmithing and your crafting. And then obviously fishing rod, pretty self-explanatory. I'd say it's probably the least valuable of the 4, but always worth having all 4 tools on you just in case. For the next tip, as I alluded to at the start of the video, be careful what you sell, even if it currently appears to have no use. There are many random things you'll pick up in this game that appear to have no particular use at the moment, other than maybe using them for alchemy or cooking or something like that. But quite a few items have multiple uses, both in the recipes that you can make and also when you look at their use in certain quests. If you are someone who likes to hoard gold and sell everything, then don't worry, there's a way to remedy this if you are an aggressive seller, and I'll cover that in tip number 8. But trust me, you do not need to sell many things in this game. There are plenty of ways to make thousands and thousands of gold that you don't need to sell every tiny little thing that you find. It's much better off putting them all in your stash. Apart from the tab labeled garbage, obviously, you can sell everything in here apart from your lockpicks and your unidentified items. They will obviously be important. This next tip is all about cooking. Just as with blacksmithing, alchemy, and any of the crafting professions, you will find cookbooks that will teach you how to make certain recipes. And when you're cooking, all you need to do is go into the recipe tab, select the recipe you want, and you can automatically cook that dish with the recommended ingredients. And some dishes can actually use multiple different variants of ingredients. So some of them might just need vegetables, and you can use like 10 different vegetables to make that dish. However, If you can't make any dishes, you don't have any recipes available, switch back to the first tab and you can cook with a bunch of random ingredients. This is great for 3 different reasons. Firstly, as you are just spamming random ingredients, every so often you'll be lucky enough to discover a new recipe, and you will learn that without needing to buy or find the relevant cookbook. Secondly, you will get a load of undercooked and quite bland yet still filling food, which you can then assign to your autofill quick slot so that you've always got a supply of heal over time items ready to use rather than having to burn through all of your potions. And thirdly and finally, it's going to level up your cooking skill far quicker than just hoarding all of your ingredients and only making recipes. And the higher your cooking skill is, the better you can cook meals, and the higher chance of them being a better quality, and therefore restoring more health and giving you extra added bonuses. The next tip is to interact with every statue that you come across, because they will give you free levels in their associated skills. You will find statues like this scattered around the world. Usually what the person is holding will indicate to you what level that's going to increase. So obviously this archer statue is going to increase my archery skill, and you can use this information one of 2 ways. Either interact with them as soon as you come across them to make sure that you grab that bonus as soon as you can, or write down the location of that statue and leave it for now, and come back and interact with it much later on in the game when your skills are far, far higher, because I believe it will always give you a full level in that skill. So rather than using it to get you from level 20 to 21, you could use it to get you from level 59 to 60, which obviously is going to be far more beneficial in the long run. Next up, this tip is kind of an add-on to tip number 5 and will help you if you have sold some stuff that you shouldn't have sold. If you didn't know, there is a buyback option in Fall of Avalon, and as far as I'm aware, it's limitless. Everything you sell to a vendor will be there for you to repurchase permanently at the price that you sold it to them for, so you won't even be losing out on any money. So tip number 8 is to try and sell everything to the same person, because then if you think, oh god, I accidentally sold that weapon and now I've used an origin potion and I've changed my build up and that weapon would be really valuable to me now, you don't then have to go and search the 12 different merchants you've been selling things to until you finally re-find that weapon. You'll be like, I sold 98% of my items to this one vendor here. It's very highly likely that they're the person that has this weapon. Obviously, this won't always be possible, but if you do your best to always sell to the same person, the majority of the time, it's going to be far easier then to track down items to buy back should you need them in the future. This next tip is basically to make sure you try and interact with everything, no matter how seemingly irrelevant. As I said at the start of the video, nothing in this game highlights. You will not know what's lootable until you're familiar with the assets in the game. So you don't want to overlook a pile of rubble or some funny coloured rocks to find out that it was actually a hidden treasure chest or some rare ore. Make sure that you get close to and interact with everything that you can, just in case it is lootable. This goes doubly so for certain items hidden around the world that will give you permanent stat boosts. Like this more gains sensor that I just found that gives me 5 additional max mana permanently. There are many items hidden around the world like this that are going to give you HP increases, MP increases, SP increases, all permanent boosts. Very missable if you aren't searching and exploring thoroughly enough. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the power of your stash. You will find stash locations throughout the world. The first one is obviously right here in the keep. And not only is the stash fantastic just because you get a lot of stuff that you don't want to sell, and you otherwise wouldn't be able to carry it all around with you because of weight and encumbrance limits, but also, if you didn't know, you can not only sell items from your stash directly to vendors, just in case you decide you don't need them anymore and you need a bit of extra cash, but you can even use everything in your stash when you are crafting. So things like alchemy and blacksmithing, you can just leave all of your crafting materials in your stash and you can still use them at any workbench, which is honestly a massive time saver and obviously a massive weight limit saver as well. The next tip I have for you is to not pigeonhole yourself into one particular build. It is surprisingly easy to level up your stats in this game and very feasible to max out everything. In fact, there are two key reasons that you do want to do exactly this. Firstly, your build can be more varied than should the situation call for it, and you'll be efficient with gigantic two-handed maces as well as machetes and swords. You'll also be proficient in magic, both melee and ranged. You'll know how to use a bow, you'll know how to use stealth, and this means you can overcome more situations. But also, as I mentioned earlier, as you are leveling up all of these secondary stats, you will earn bigger and bigger experience bonuses to your overall character level. So even if you do have a particular favorite weapon type, try and switch it out every so often so that you can start leveling up things like your two-handed, your ranged, and your one-handed, and your blocking all in tandem. And the same goes for armor classes as well. Now, in this game, different armor pieces aren't inherently part of the light, medium, or heavy armor sets. What happens is that as you put a set of armor together, made up of all of the different pieces you want, depending on what that weight is in correspondence to your current total weight limit, it will put you in the light, medium, or heavy armor category. So make sure you are spending equal amounts of time in each three of these categories so that you're leveling up all three of the skills. Now, your armor isn't as important as your weapons. In fact, there is some argument to max out one particular armor category first before switching around your weight limits. So as an example, if you just stick with medium armor, when you get to 100 medium armor proficiency, you will then earn the proficiency bonuses of light armor, effectively meaning you can move as quickly in medium armor as you can in light armor. And the same applies to heavy. When you get that to 100, you can now move as quick as you can in medium armor. So maybe your armor proficiency is the one exception to this rule, but try and be as varied as possible in all other areas of the game. And finally, do not be scared of the night. Many good things happen at night. Enemies will become significantly stronger, some of them will visibly change. However, almost every enemy in the game will now drop Ethereal Cobwebs. These are some of the most important items in the game. They don't take up any inventory space or weight, and they are tracked at the top right of your inventory by your gold. These cobwebs are used to recharge your powers, such as the ability to slow down time, also to identify items, and also to unlock the full potential of bonfires, allowing you to do things like alchemy and even fast travel from wherever you happen to be. So make sure you've always got a supply of at least 30 cobwebs with you ideally, so that you can recharge your powers and enhance your bonfire so you can fast travel should you find yourself trapped and in danger. These are absolutely crucial items, so make sure that every so often you're going out at night and just farming a camp of bandits or whatever you want really, because everything will drop them. There are also nighttime specific enemies that will only spawn during the weird night, such as spirits and ghosts, and these can be pretty tricky to fight, especially the higher level ones are really tough and you can encounter them very early on in the game, but if you do manage to take them out, they will net you huge amounts of Ethereal Cobwebs. That's it for my top 10 beginner tips, but I've only just scratched the surface of this game. I'll be coming out with advanced tips, secrets, missables, build guides, help for quests, various different things, both on here and over on domsroundtable.com, my official website, where I'll post a bunch of articles and guides that you won't find on this channel, so make sure you go and check out the website as well. And for now, my friends, once you've subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any more videos, all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.